Hey everyone, this is DC. Welcome back to the Wealthy Idiot Show. This week I want to go ahead and get started on another episode of our new series, Personal Finance in 10 Minutes. This time we're going to go ahead and cover investing for idiots. So this is officially episode 2. We can go ahead and get to it. So I really just want to talk about investing in general. And we say investing for idiots because we want to break this down in 10 minutes or less. And we want to talk about the things that really can make a impact today without you having to spend an hour watching YouTube videos or, without having to read a 300-page book. We can give you a lot of good value in what we believe is less than 10 minutes. So we're not going to talk about really specific investments, nor are we going to talk about really specific investment accounts today. Instead, we're going to talk about investing in general. So we're going to be really broad. Obviously, we'll have future episodes on specific investment accounts, but today we just want to cover the broad spectrum. So, investing is daunting. We know that. Investing can be terrifying for people. It's really hard to wrap your mind around the fact that you could put your money somewhere and then subsequently lose it. And I think that's where we lose a lot of people. So it's hard. And understanding, different parameters and really the rules of investing and what the options are and what the negatives and positives or the pros and cons are is really important. So we'll talk a little bit about that. But at the very elementary level, there's a couple different things you want to know. And the first one is that in order to invest, you need to invest in some type of account normally. So that's not to say there's other methods of doing this, but typically you would need an account. So in this case, we would talk about an account like an IRA or a Roth IRA or a 401k. Educators and some nonprofit employees have things called 403bs and 457bs. These are really similar to 401ks, but they're a little bit more specific to those areas. And then we have things like a brokerage account. We have things like just general bank accounts where sometimes they have a portal where you can buy stocks and bonds and things. So there's a lot of different options as far as the vehicles in which you can invest. Well, inside that vehicle, you need passengers. And the passengers in this case are going to be things like stocks, bonds, CDs, savings or mutual funds, rather, ETFs. You could have money market funds, like all these different things are considered, the actual investments. All right. So to recap, like the account, the IRA or the 401k is the vehicle, and then the passengers are like the stocks, bonds, etc. All right. So you have two key pieces that are really required to invest. You can't really do one without the other. So, don't get overwhelmed. It just sounds daunting, but it's really not that bad. So different account types. 401k you commonly hear is an employee-sponsored account. A lot of people have them. A lot of people use these as their real entry to investing. So great place to go, especially if you get an employee match. Make sure you're getting that thing. We have IRAs, so individual retirement account. This comes in both a traditional and Roth format. Traditional is pre-tax, Roth is post-tax. So, just keep in mind those exist. And then you have a brokerage account. Brokerage account anyone can open. You can buy virtually anything at your big brokers, such as Fidelity, Schwab, E-Trade, and Vanguard. And you can invest that way. And then you have the other ones like 403bs, 457bs, SEP IRAs, solo 401k, some of the more rare accounts. And then on the investment side, you can buy things like stocks. So let's say you really like Apple stock. You can go ahead and buy Apple stock in one of these accounts. If you really like dividend stocks, maybe you're a big fan of Ford, the vehicle maker. They offer good dividends. So you want to buy Ford so you can get dividends. You can do that. And then we also have bonds. So bonds are obviously something, it's a vehicle that a government entity typically issues in order to raise capital for some type of project. So there's government bonds, there's private bonds, there's all kinds of different bonds. So that's a whole nother space. And then you have mutual funds. So mutual funds are a fund with a lot of underlying stocks and investments, and it's piled into one fund. And then you have a very similar product, which is a exchange traded fund or an ETF, which trades like a stock, but it's assembled very similar to a mutual fund, in which it's a bunch of different investments in one fund. Keep in mind with funds, they usually have management fees of some type. So some can be very low, such as 0.04% or so. And they can range all the way up into the 2% range, which is really high for a fee. So just keep in mind, those fees are called expense ratios. We'll talk more about that later. But that's the real simple explanation. So if you have no idea what you're doing and you have never invested in anything before, except for maybe taking your piggy bank and, creating a lemonade stand and making a few bucks over the summer, I'm going to give you the real basics on what I would do to start, to try to make it a little bit more simple. So number one, if you have a 401k at work, I would use this. If you have a 401k with a match, I would definitely use it. So if your employer says, hey, we'll match 100% of the first 5% of your contributions, you should be contributing 5% of your salary to get that 100% match on 5%. So if you make 50 grand a year, a 5% match will give you $2,500 in free money. You do not want to miss $2,500 in free money. So you should at least be contributing 5%. With that being said, 401ks often have low fees, pretty good investment options. So again, you may want to invest more than the match. That's up to you, but this is a great place to invest. If you have absolutely no idea where to put your money as far as the investments are concerned, usually 401ks have target date funds, and these are mutual fund-like products that have a date which is typically associated with your projected retirement year. So if you wanted to buy a 2040 target date fund, that would imply that you're going to retire around 2040. So the risk would adjust on a sliding scale as you progress through your career. So it does all the work for you. It has a little bit higher expense ratio because of that, but not enough to where we'll really beat it up. All right. So once you start that 401k, it's a good place to go. Keep in mind, if you're doing traditional 401k contributions, it is tax deferred. So you're not paying income tax on that currently. You'll pay it on the money you withdraw in the future. So and again, there's a whole bunch of these accounts. I'm not touching them in depth because I just want to talk about investing in general. So the next account I want to talk about, if you don't have a 401k and you really just want to invest, but you don't know anything about it, you could easily open a brokerage account. Brokerage accounts can be opened by virtually anyone. You can open one in less than 5 minutes on any of your major brokerage websites, and you could easily take $100 and go buy a total stock market index fund like Vanguard's VTI or a S&P 500 index fund like VOO, and you could start investing with so little money today and finally really break through that wall that you've been staring at for so long. So that's a great way to do it. If you're eligible for a Roth IRA, you'll want to look up the eligibility requirements. I don't want to talk about them on here. It'll take up too much time, but the eligibility requirements are some income caps, and then you have to have earned income as well. So there's a couple different things there. But you could open a Roth IRA and you could do the same thing. You could take $100 or $200 and put it in VTI or VOO and just get started. And keep in mind, Roth IRA in 2023, you can put $6,500 in if you're under 50. So huge investment opportunity there. So that's a big deal. And again, I'm talking about investing in general. So this is just really, we're talking about stock market investing or market investing. Other investments available would be real estate. We all know the house hacking methods. So if you haven't bought a first house yet, you can buy a duplex, live in one side, rent the other one, and subsidize your own housing. This is a great method to build wealth. So again, there's all kinds of investments. I mean, I think Kevin O'Leary, Mr. Wonderful from the Shark Tank, I think he said since COVID, his asset that has appreciated the most in value is his watch collection. So again, investments aren't always, they're not always traditional. They're not always typical, mainstream. There's a lot of different investments, but we're talking about the main one here, which will serve 99% of people really well, which is the United States stock market. Multiple stock exchanges, you have so many options of things you can invest in. If you like environmentally friendly funds, I mean, there's ESG funds for people. If you want oil and gas, there's oil and gas funds. If you want to invest in total market, you have that. You have international funds. You can invest in anything you want. And that's really the beauty in just, paying attention to this a little bit and learning it. It becomes a lot more understandable and, hopefully achievable. So again, high level overview. Don't want to scare anyone away, but, this is our crash course on investing and how to get started. So, last shameless plug, even though we don't have any relationship with Vanguard, Fidelity, E-Trade, or Schwab, I would welcome you to visit any of those websites and just take a look at their options. Everything is really simple on those websites. You can see what they offer, and then hopefully you can open an account and start your investing journey today. All right, so if you guys have any comments on this, we'd love for you to hop over to our YouTube page and leave some comments or comment on our Facebook page. If you have suggestions or things you want to see from us, we would love to hear about that. So again, I hope this really is life changing for someone, and hope you guys stop in to see us next time. Thanks.